When you're in a leadership position, you have expectations placed on you that aren't expected from the people that you're leading. Say you're in a management position at your company. You'd be expected to come in early, stay late. You would be expected to be more committed to the job than the people that are working under you. Basically what I'm saying, you should be leading by example. It's no different in the world of sports. If anything, expectations on leaders in sports are higher than someone like you or me because they're in the public eye. The Lakers were in Boston on Monday, had the big TNT primetime game on Martin Luther King Day against the Celtics. Coincidentally, LeBron James' son, Bronny, also had a basketball game early that afternoon about 90 minutes away from Boston. And like any good father would do, LeBron went out of his way to make sure that he was in attendance for his son's game. Something happened during the game. I'll get to that in a second. But first I want to talk about LeBron leaving the Lakers on game day to attend his kid's basketball game. I don't have kids, so my opinion is probably going to be different than those of you that do have kids. But I can remember as a kid, my dad missing some of my basketball or my baseball games because he had to work. He didn't miss all of them, but he missed some because he was keeping a roof over my head. As the leader of the Lakers, there are things expected of LeBron James that aren't going to be expected of a guy like Kyle Kuzma. I know he made it back to the arena in time for the game, but he was away from the team the majority of the day. Now, was it the reason that the Lakers got ran off the floor in Boston last night? Maybe. Maybe not. The Lakers have struggled against the top teams in the Eastern Conference all season. They've lost to 4 of the top 5 teams in the East. But because of the way that they lost, LeBron is taking a lot of criticism for leaving the team on game day to go to watch something, whether right or not, is perceived as inconsequential as a teenager's basketball game. It just doesn't look good. As the leader of the team, you're expected to be there all day on game day. Drew Brees isn't arriving to the Superdome 45 minutes before the game starts on Sunday because his daughter had a ballet recital. Everyone has something in their life going on that could be used as an excuse. But when you're a professional athlete of LeBron's caliber, or a professional athlete, period, there are sacrifices that you're expected to make. It just comes with the territory. Few of the Lakers players post-game were quoted saying that the team didn't have their usual focus, their usual energy last night in Boston. Now, is that because LeBron was missing the majority of the day leading up to the game? It could be. But let me ask you this. When your boss is gone, when he's out of the office, are you as productive at your job than when he is there? Most people aren't. Most people, when they're not being held accountable, have a tendency to slack off. It's just human nature. At the end of the day, it sends the wrong message to your teammates when the leader of the team, the boss of the franchise, and make no mistake about it, LeBron James is the boss, not Frank Vogel. It sends the wrong message when you're out of the office before the game. No preparation, no film watching. Just show up an hour or two before tip-off, and we're going to wing it. And the Lakers got ran off the floor as a result. People are actually questioning LeBron's commitment. This has actually been going on since last season. When he made the move to Los Angeles, there was concern about distractions. He has a production company, filmed Space Jam last summer. He's setting himself up for life after basketball. Is LeBron as committed to basketball as he was in his second year in the league? Probably not. LeBron and the James family took 2 L's yesterday. His son Bronny was held scoreless in the Hoop Hall Classic. The bigger story, though, was the kid who threw a piece of candy. I think it was a Starburst. Kid threw it from the stands at Bronny James as he was getting ready to inbound the ball. There was a man sitting beside the kid, not sure if it was his dad or not. I assume it was. I can't imagine a kid that age being there alone. But if it was his dad, the guy did absolutely nothing about it. I blame his parents. Kids are taught bad behavior. I went to a lot of football and basketball games as a child. I don't remember ever throwing something at the players on the court or on the field. If I did, and my dad found out about it, I would have had a torn up ass when I got home. I really don't understand the hate that permeates our society. It doesn't make any sense to me. This kid, for example, is throwing something at Bronny James because he's LeBron James's son. Why does the kid hate LeBron James? More than likely because he's successful, because he's rich, he's an international superstar. I've never understood why people hate on others because they found their lane in life, found their strength, they found their passion, found their way to succeed. Most haters are lonely fuckknuckles with nothing going for them. Because if you have positive things happening in your life, and to have that, you got to make it happen. No one's going to give it to you. If you have positive things happening in your life, then you don't have time to hate on somebody else. This is Behind the Line Extra for your Tuesday, January 21st, 2020. I'm your host, KC. Follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube. You have no idea how far it goes in helping the podcast. Leave a 5-star rating on iTunes. I appreciate your support. Speaking of haters, I see a lot of people hating on Jimmy Garoppolo. Midway through the season, I wasn't a believer in Jimmy G. He struggled a bit early on. Then they lost that Monday Night Football game at home to Seattle. Their schedule, the last half of the season was brutal. Defense was banged up. I expected the 49ers to fall. But Jimmy G made me a believer the last 6 to 8 weeks of the season. I've been saying all year, and I reiterated it yesterday, that the Green Bay Packers did not belong. Worst 13-3 team in NFL history. Their schedule was easy as far as NFL standards go. And they struggled to win a lot of those games. Check out the last half of the season for San Francisco. Seattle, Arizona, Green Bay, Baltimore, New Orleans, Atlanta, Rams, Seattle. 5 of the 8 games were against playoff teams. The other one was against a surging Atlanta team that played a hell of a lot better the last half of the season. Jimmy Garoppolo led them to a 5-3 record with a hobbled defense. George Kittle missed time. When his team needed him to step up, he took the ball and ran with it. He carried the 49ers on his shoulders. That's the sign of a franchise quarterback. Kirk Cousins couldn't have done what Jimmy G did. Hell, most quarterbacks in the league couldn't have done it. People are giving all the credit for the 49ers' success to Kyle Shanahan. Oh, he's a genius. He's a mastermind. In the NFL, we tend to overpraise coaches sometimes. Last year, everyone was talking about how great Sean McVay was. This year, all of a sudden, he's lost his touch. No, Jared Goff had a down year. The truth is, Kyle Shanahan is 4-20 without Jimmy Garoppolo. With Jimmy G under center, he's 21-5. But KC, that's not fair. He was coaching backups last year when Jimmy G was out. Who fucking cares? I've said it before on this podcast. One of the ways I judge the greatness of a head coach is what happens to his team when the franchise quarterback is lost due to injury. Sean Payton lost Drew Brees for 5 games. Saints go 5-0. Doug Peterson lost Carson Wentz. Eagles went on to win the Super Bowl with Nick Foles. Bill Belichick lost Tom Brady in week 1 back in 2008. Led the Patriots to an 11-5 record with Matt fucking Castle. What happened to Matt Castle after he left New England? He had one good season in Kansas City where they made the playoffs. Then he was pretty much done as a starter. He's out of the league. I'm not saying that Kyle Shanahan is a bad coach. I think he's good. But the reason the 49ers are in the Super Bowl is because of Jimmy G. He's made me a believer. All right, let's move on to the NBA. Since the NBA season started in October, I've been telling you that the Lakers aren't the best team in Los Angeles. That the Clippers are, and they're the best team in the Western Conference. And I still believe that. But I'm starting to get a little concerned about how this team is going to look once we get into the playoffs. A lot has been made this season about load management. I've talked about it on this podcast many times. Between Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, the Clippers got to be the biggest load management team in the league, and it shows. I didn't realize this until I started researching this earlier today, but the Clippers have only played one game this season with their full roster. That was Christmas Day against the Lakers, and they looked great. The best starting 5 that this team could play: Kawhi, Paul George, Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell, Patrick Beverley. They've played a grand total of 46 minutes together. 46 fucking minutes. And we're in late January. The team's 2 superstars, Paul George and Kawhi, have played 18 games together. As great as both of those guys are, this isn't a recipe for playoff success. You can't start building team chemistry in April. By then it's too late. And it started to show in the Clippers locker room. After getting blown out by Memphis a couple of weeks ago, Montrezl Harrell told the press that the Clippers aren't a great team. Called out Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, saying that they haven't been a part of the team. A day or two later, Lou Williams agreed with everything that he said. Contrast that with the Lakers, the team who plays in the same building. They've been working on building team chemistry all year. That's what the regular season's for. That's the whole purpose. You have 82 games to prepare for the playoffs. AD and LeBron are great friends on and off the court. The Lakers look like they're having fun every time they're on the court together. One of the problems with the Clippers, they don't have a leader. Doc Rivers is a great leader, but what I'm talking about, they don't have a leader on the court. Both Kawhi and Paul George are quiet guys. They lead with their play. But you got to have guys on the court that are an extension of your head coach. That's what LeBron James is. Watch a Lakers game. Someone makes a mistake, LeBron is in their ear. The Clippers don't have a guy like that. This lack of gameplay together between their key players can be a real problem. Kawhi Leonard and load management worked last season in Toronto. It's hard to say that it didn't. I mean, they won a fucking title. But the chemistry with that team started being built on day one. Their main 4 guys, the nucleus of that team, Danny Green, Kawhi, Kyle Lowry, Pascal Siakam, played 42 games together in the regular season. Compare that to this season with the Clippers, where the main guys on this lineup have played 46 minutes together. Now, I know injuries have been a part of it. The roster's battled the injury bug all season, but whatever the case may be, this team's got a lot of work to do between now and April if they expect to meet their championship expectations in the playoffs. You look at teams that win the titles in the NBA, they all share one common thread: chemistry. And right now, the Clippers just haven't built it yet. All right, before I get out of here, I wanted to touch on this Delonte West situation for a minute. For those of you that don't know, Delonte West played in the NBA 8 or 9 years, played with LeBron during his first stint in Cleveland. Since his time in the NBA has come to an end, Delonte West's life has fallen apart at the seams. He's come out in the past and said that he's been affected by bipolar disorder. Back in 2016, he was seen looking disheveled. He's ran through the money that he made in the NBA. Believe he made around $16 million throughout his career. But we haven't really heard much about him the past 3 or 4 years until earlier this morning. There are several videos that have surfaced. One is a conversation that Delonte West is having with a cop after it looks like he's been handcuffed. But the more disturbing video is the actual fight. When I heard about it initially, I'm thinking that this was a fight, like a real fight. But it was far from it. Delonte West is laying face down in the middle of a highway in Washington, D.C. And some other crackhead is punching him, then begins to stomp his face into the pavement. I'll be honest, it was difficult to watch, but the worst part of it to me wasn't the fight itself. It was the 5 or 10 cars that are stopped in the middle of the road because they can't pass by, sitting there, filming or watching all of this go down, and not doing a fucking thing about it. One video I saw captioned, Delonte West from NBA to this, and it shows him being stomped in his face. What the fuck is wrong with people nowadays? I can tell you right now, this would not have happened down here in the South. Somebody would have gotten out to stop this. But not in Washington, D.C. Are people in Washington, D.C. that big of pussies? Are they that cowardly, that heartless, that you won't get off your fucking ass and help someone who was obviously defenseless getting his face stomped into the pavement? Instead, you post it to social media to try to get yourself 15 minutes of fame. I don't understand it. People are so starved for attention. Look at me, that instead of giving somebody a hand, they film their demise for their own gain. Now, it's being reported that the NBA is offering help and support to Delonte West. His former teammate at St. Joseph's, Jameer Nelson's trying to get him help as well. Jameer Nelson's one of the classiest guys to ever play in the NBA. I'm sure other players in the league will step up. I really hope he gets the help he needs. Mental illness is not something to fuck around with. More importantly, I hope he gets away from Washington, D.C. because nothing good happens in that city. All right, that's all for today, guys. Hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube. Leave a 5-star rating on iTunes. I'll be back on Friday. Enjoy the rest of your week.